So, Unit 4, Animal Diversity 2, Chordata Phylum, Phylum Chordata. First of all, let's go with the hierarchy that we have to see as a formality all the way. We use it to see there. Let's come with the kingdom. Phylum Chordata belongs to the kingdom. Kingdom Animalia. Subkingdom Eumetajoa. Kingdom Animalia. Subkingdom Eumetajoa. Okay, subkingdom Eumetajoa. Grade Bilateria or Triploblastica. Grade Bilateria or Triploblastica. Use it to say division. Division Deuterostomia. Division Deuterostomia. Subdivision. Subdivision Enterocilometa. Subdivision Enterocilometa. Phylum Chordata. We are talking about phylum Chordata. So with these, before we enter into the chordata itself, we'll come to know some of the general characteristic features of the chordata, isn't it? So based on that, we can say like the type of symmetry. The type of symmetry in chordates is bilateral symmetry because it belongs to the grade Bilateria. Hence we say they have bilateral symmetry. Then number of germ layers. 3 germ layers can be expected because it belongs to Bilateria or Triploblastica, grade Bilateria or Triploblastica. Next, the fate of blastopore is mouth or anus. It belongs to the deuterostomia. That's why we say the fate of blastopore is anus. Type of cleavage. Type of cleavage is radial and indeterminate. Radial indeterminate type of cleavage. Type of embryo. Type of embryo is mosaic embryo. Type of embryo, mosaic embryo. All these because of they are belongs to division deuterostomia. And type of body cavity. We have some exceptions that we'll discuss, but it belongs to that subdivision enterocilometa. First of all, we need to say that enterocoelom. So this is the hierarchy. Kingdom Animalia, subkingdom Eumetajoa, grade Bilateria Triploblastica, division Deuterostomia, subdivision Enterocoelometa, phylum Chordata, and the bilateral symmetry, 3 germ layers, organ system grade of organization, that also is right here. Organ system grade of organization, and fate of blastopore is anus. Type of cleavage is radial and indeterminate. Type of embryo, mosaic embryo. Type of embryo, mosaic embryo. These are the characteristic features of the chordata we know because of kingdom Animalia series, kingdom Animalia issue that we learned earlier. Then now let's continue with the characteristic features. The module 1 get started now. Here we are going to learn about some information about the phylum Chordata, the various animals of phylum Chordata on screen. It includes fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves, and mammals are all belongs to here. So it is considered as bioarchitecture, the bioarchitectural wonder. The chordates are considered as bioarchitectural wonder. Let us see the bioarchitecture of chordates. The phylum Chordata is under the animal kingdom. It is a Greek word, chordata, the Greek word which means cord, means string, string or cord, string or cord. Okay, the chordata, the notochord is the structure which is unique to this particular chordates. Eta means bearing, chordata, that means string bearing or cord bearing, that means we are talking about the notochord. We are talking about notochord here. Okay. The chordate includes all the animals that possess the notochord at some stage. No need to be in the adult like that. At least in any one of the stages, If the organisms are having notochord, we can consider them as chordate. Those who are having notochord, we can say that chordate. Not a rule like that. For example, if we take human being, we don't have notochord in adult stages. We have notochord in embryonic stages only. So any one of the stage, if they have notochord, we say them as chordates. Okay. So notochord is, what is notochord? It's a endoskeletal element. Actually, we have vertebral column. If you remember that, you may heard over so many times that human are having vertebral column. Okay, before vertebral column, that in embryonic stages, we are going to develop a primary endoskeletal element called as notochords. Then chordates are believed to be emerged from where they get the evolution of the chordate. It is believed to be emerged from the Echinodon larvae-like ancestors during the Precambrian period. Period is a geological time scale, that is Precambrian period. Okay, Precambrian period. The chordates are believed to be okay. Wait a minute. I think we did a small mistake earlier, so that we have to go. One of our student made us remembering that the regulative embryo the chordates are having, because it belongs to the division Deuterostomia, so that's why they have regulative embryo. So please correct yourself that Deuterostomia subdivision Deuterostomia is having regulative embryo. Earlier we said mosaic embryo, I think. Okay, so thank you. That regulative embryo they have. Very good, Varsha. So we said division protostomia is having mosaic embryo. Now these are having regulative. So by mistake we made it out as a mosaic. So do remember that is having regulative embryo. Okay, so just we are talking about the notochord. Notochord. Then let's talk about the notochord. Notochord present animals with notochord. We say them as chordates. So evolution of the chordates, we just said now that believed to be evolved from the Echinodon larvae like ancestors during Precambrian period. Precambrian period, Devonian period, Carboniferous period, all these are the periods of geological time scale. That means it is believed to be 5 billion years back the earth is originated. The 2 billion years no life on the earth. Then after that, last 3 billion years onwards, that life is originated from there. This total time scale is get classified into eons, like eras, periods, epochs, just like that years, months, weeks wise we get classified. That we'll discuss in the evolution chapter, organic evolution. But till the time you remember, this is the time scale, Precambrian. So many will come after this also. Devonian period, Carboniferous period, Mesozoic era, all they are nothing but a part of geological time scale. Just remember like that. Then after we'll discuss in detail in evolution chapter, organic evolution. Let me show you the notochord. During embryonic stages, that notochord is present like that. The phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata, most of chordates, general characteristic features we are going here, most chordates are aquatic and some are amphibious and some are aquatic and some are terrestrial. Likewise, the variation is there. Fishes are aquatic, frogs are amphibious. Then reptiles, aves, mammals are terrestrial, particularly aves are aerial, they can fly. Okay, so various organisms are there here. So they show similarity. So though variation is there, there you can see a fish, a frog, and a deer, a human, whatever, they have a similarity in their basic body plan. So they exhibit variation in the size and shape of their body. That means if we say, if even our photograph is there here, we can say like that. Both we have bilateral symmetry, frog and human. Both we have organ system grade of organization. Fate of blastopore during embryonic development will be annus. Determine that the what do you say, that spiral radial indeterminate type of cleavage, because we are belongs to the deuterostomia. Protostomia are having spiral indeterminate, but we are deuterostomia. All this in the line deuterostomia. So that's why during embryonic development The division of embryo, radial indeterminate type of cleavage. Then regulative embryo. All these are common here we are talking about. All these are common. Okay. So that we say like that. They show similarity in their basic body plan as like general characteristic features we have to say. So to say a particular chordate, some primary characters are present like notochord, pharyngeal, gill slit, dorsal tubular nerve cord, post-anal tail that we'll discuss. Let me go for some of the legendary animals here. That blue whale, a marine animal, Balanoptera musculus. It's a mammal, the first largest living animal we can say here. This is the largest living animal among all the animals of animal kingdom. These are the largest living animals. Balanoptera musculus. We say a blue whale. It's a mammal, marine mammal, lives only in marine water. Rhinodon typhus, a whale shark, we say it's a fish actually, Rhinodon typhus, fish, cartilaginous fish. Second largest living animal, Rhinodon typhus. Principal characters of the chordate. To say a chordate, to say a chordate, yes, to say that particular chordate, the basic fundamental characteristic features are required over that we are talking about now. A notochord is must, dorsal tubular nerve cord, notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, pharyngeal gill slits, pharyngeal gill slits or clefts we can say, then post-anal tail, that notochord, pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord, post-anal tail. Any chordate should show this particular characteristic feature. So whatever the variation they may have, but any chordate they need to show these characters at least any stage of the life. That means if it comes to the human being, you may not have tail, and we say like that you are not a chordate. No, you have a tail during embryonic development. That next notochord we have during embryonic development. Even gill slits, okay, even gill slits are we have. So even gill slits during embryonic development we have. So just do remember that gill slits are even present. But here people will get some confusion. Gill slits, they are not gills, they are gill slits. You try to understand the difference. Gill slit and gill, that is different. Nostril, lung means, for example, for a human being, a pair of nostrils are present. Okay, I'm trying that nose I'm talking. Here these are a pair of nostrils. What nostrils for? Nostrils for that a slit we can say to breathe the air inside. Okay. Then a pair of lungs are present. Lungs for respiration. That's the difference. Gill slit is a entry or exit point. Gill is a respiratory organ. So try to find out the difference. That means I am saying we are even have gills. Every chordate should have at least during embryonic development. Let's talk one after another. Let's talk about notochord. So noton, back, cord, notochord, a flexible rod-like structure situated along the mid-dorsal line between the gut and nerve cord. We say notochord, a flexible rod-like structure situated along the mid-dorsal line between the gut and nerve cord. The first part of the endoskeleton, we can say that to be appeared in the embryo. It is the first part of the endoskeleton which to be appeared in the embryo. Let's see here the notochord. It's a text diagram. Notochord, where it is between the nerve cord. This is nerve cord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and this is the gut, alimentary canal. So between these two, our said notochord is present. This is the notochord. Let me change the color. This is the notochord, red one I am showing. So it is present between the dorsal nerve cord and the gut. Here it is the gut. Between the two, that notochord is situated over. So where it is derived? Derived from embryonic chorda mesoderm. Notochord is derived from embryonic chorda mesoderm. Mesodermal derivative, at least you have to remember like that. We know that embryonic germ layers are three: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. So as when we discuss the structural organization, we said like that. What the issues like connective tissue derived from embryonic mesoderm, nervous tissue derived from that embryonic ectoderm. Likewise, that the particular notochord we are talking, it's a skeletal element, so definitely it will be derived from mesoderm. Okay, so these are the three germ layers during embryonic development. So we are giving credit that the notochord derived from chorda mesoderm. Okay, so that's it. That will be remembered and made up of a core of vacuolated cells surrounded by an inner thick, fibrous, and outer thin elastic connective tissue sheath. The structure, what you can say, that innermost vacuolated cells, then surrounded by a fibrous sheath. That let me change the color. That this is a fibrous sheath. Okay, next, surrounded by that an elastic connective tissue sheath. Okay, so this is a structure. If we take the transverse section, we can draw like this. The transverse section include the vacuolated cells in the center. Okay, surrounded by a thick, fibrous connective tissue sheath. A thick, fibrous connective tissue sheath. Then surrounded by a thin, elastic connective tissue sheath. Earlier, when we discussed about the hemichordata, we said like this: that chordata, to say a notochord, the notochord is having some properties that like this: vacuolated cell, elastic sheath, the fibrous sheath and elastic sheath. So inner vacuolated cell, then fibrous sheath, then that outer elastic connective tissue sheath. If these the particular issues are not followed over, we can't say that as notochord. That's why we said hemichordates don't have notochord. In that way, we said over. Whatever the solid structure present in them, we call them as stomochord. Okay, so fibrous sheath, vacuolated cell, and elastic sheath. There you can see in the diagram. And it is persistent throughout the life. Now we need to see here that it's persistent throughout the life. So to see this, we need to write that particular issues of this particular area. To see this, first of all, let me go for a chordate hierarchy. Then after we'll understand. So that means we'll discuss about the chordate hierarchy. Then phylum chordata subdivided into there, that like that we'll go. Then after we'll discuss where it is present, notochord, pharyngeal gill slit, dorsal tubular nerve cord, likewise all that issues we'll discuss. So first of all, you should have a primary idea that chordates are include whom, like that, everything. Mm, Phylum chordata classified into three subphylums: Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Okay, so Vertebrata. Vertebrata is a well-known word. You use it so many times, but we can't say like that all chordates are vertebrates, because chordata includes some more else, like Urochordata and Cephalochordata. Okay, so phylum chordata classified into Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. So what we said, there are three subphyla are present here. Three subphyla: Urochordata, Cephalochordata, Vertebrata. Primary level, we say that these Urochordates can be called commonly, not all, but most of the Urochordates are well-known example we are taking from Urochordata. These are Ascidians. Okay, so Urochordates. Okay, then Cephalochordata, we have one and only animal. Lancelets we use it to say commonly. These are new for you. I'll show you the diagrams, don't worry. Okay, Vertebrata. The subphylum Vertebrata. Subphylum Vertebrata is further classified into superclass. Superclass Anata. Superclass Gnathostomata. Superclass Anata and Gnathostomata. Anata. Gnathos means Jas. Aneta. That means jas are absent. Nathostomata. G is silent here. Nathostomata. That means mouth is surrounded by jaws. Okay, based on the jaws we classified. Okay, that aneta further classified into astracodermy, astracodermy, cyclostomata, astracodermy, cyclostomata, nathostomata further classified into chondrichthyes, chondrichthyes, osteichthyes, amphibia, chondrichthyes, osteichthyes, amphibia, reptilia, aves, mammals. The chondrichthyes, osteichthyes, amphibia, mammals. So if you consider the extincted one, we can take placodermy also. Placodermy, chondrichthyes, osteichthyes, amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammals. Okay, so don't get confused here. This is the first class. That's why I'm trying to introduce all these to you at once, and we'll discuss the one after another. One after another, everything will be discussed here. The classes here: placodermy, chondrichthyes, osteichthyes. Number one, placodermy. It includes extincted fishes. Chondrichthyes. Chondrichthyes include cartilaginous fishes. Osteichthyes. Osteichthyes include bony fishes. That means here placodermy, chondrichthyes, and osteichthyes are these three belongs to the fishes itself. These three are nothing but fishes, in general called as physes. These are in general said to be physes. Oh, okay, I got spell mistake. Physes, basic. Okay. Next, uh, amphibia, which include frogs. Okay. Next, reptilia, which include snakes and lizards. Known animals, I am saying. More animals we'll discuss when we go into that particular topic. Reptilia. Okay. Next, aves, birds. And finally, the last, mammalia, which include mammals, nothing but human beings we are talking about. Okay, so that's it. This is the story of a basic skeleton of the phylum Chordata, which classified into subphylum. We can say this is our chapter that we are going to discuss in detail the issues of Urochordata, Cephalochordata, that Anatha included ostracodermy and that cyclostomata, which the Physis, Placodermy, Chondrichthyes, Osteichthyes. These three classes are belongs to the superclass Physis. And then amphibian, which include frogs, reptilia, snakes, and lizards, aves, birds, and mammalia, mammals. So this is a primary skeletal element I'm seeing here, data. So this is our chapter. This is our chapter. We are going to discuss this in that time being. That we'll discuss the general characters and some examples. A primary idea you are going to get here. So I request all of you to take the screenshot of this and keep the chart with you, because the various issues we are going to discuss from here onwards till the end, this chart will be helpful to you. Okay then, let's get into that. That it is persistent throughout their life. Notochord we are talking about. Notochord is persistent throughout their life in the landslides. That means cephalochordates. Landslide, that means cephalochordates. Okay. Next, cephalochordate. Amphiaxis is the example here, the cephalochordata. And cyclostomes. Cyclostomes which are belongs to that Anatha, cyclostomes. In them, what do you say? Notochord is present throughout the life. So present in the tail of tadpole larva of an assyrian, which is lost in its adult stage due to retrogressive metamorphosis. What is retrogressive metamorphosis? We'll see when we go to the Eurocard data. Just listen. That notochord is present in the tail of tadpole larva. Okay. So no need, no need. Just whenever required, I'll say. Just for example, we are showing here notochord. Notochord is there in the larva, Ascidian tadpole larva. We use it to say that has the notochord. Use the tail. Till the tail reason, the notochord is extincted over. That's why we use it to say Eurochord data. Notochord in the tail, but not in adult tail. That larva of the tail we are talking about. Head, tail. So that notochord is there in the tail. So what is retrogressive metamorphosis? Interestingly, this particular larva is well developed and having advanced characters, and adult is primitive. That the larval form is having all the chordate characters. Ascidian tadpole larva we use it to say that it is having all the that larval features that means notochord, pharyngeal gill slit, dorsal tubular nerve cord. Likewise, everything are present. But when it comes to the adult is primitive. Larva is well developed, and adult is primitive. This is the interesting case. So that's why whenever a larva is going to be changed, that means metamorphosis occurs, the well-developed larva will become primitive adult. We are talking about that as retrogressive metamorphosis, reverse metamorphosis. In general, if you don't take this, let us take the known one. You know the caterpillar in invertebrates, caterpillar larva. So that is primitive. Well-developed form is butterfly. That means this primitive caterpillar larva becomes adult butterfly. Okay, I have to draw the that butterfly. Oh, what we do? Yeah, butterfly. Nakade better. Okay, no problem. This is the caterpillar larva. So primitive larva develops into adult. What do you say? Progressive metamorphosis. Progressive metamorphosis, we can say. Anywhere it will happen. But particularly in Eurocard data, this feature is there. When we go to the Eurocard data, there also we'll discuss. Retrogressive metamorphosis is present. Primitive larva develops into, the well-developed larva develops into primitive adult, we can say. Okay, so that is one of the good example is our said Ascidian. This is the Ascidian, Eurocard data. Okay. Sacculina is also there, one of the good example, but that is invertebrates, root-headed barnacle, crustacean that is. Okay, so what happens about the notochord? What happens about the notochord? Replaced partly or wholly by vertebral column in the adults of higher chordates. Notochord replaced partly or wholly by vertebral column in the adults of the higher chordates. The remnant of notochord occur as nuclei pulposae, a gel-like substance in the intervertebral discs of the mammal. See that, see that. In the intervertebral discs of the mammals, that will find little bit, that means as a gel-like core substance will find. Okay, so that what do you say it as nuclei pulposae, nuclei pulposae in our vertebral column between the intervertebral discs. Okay, so let's talk about, otherwise we'll confuse. That's why let's go there and let's talk about the notochord. So in the case of Eurocard data, we said that notochord is present in larval stages. Now I am turning this chart for notochord. I am turning this chart fully for notochord. We'll write about the information of the notochord. So what we said, notochord is a structure which contains the vacuolated cells in the center and the fibrous sheath which is surrounded by elastic sheath. Okay, so notochord presence we'll discuss in the chordata hierarchy. In Eurocard data, where do you see the Eurocard data? The larva is having larval tail. The notochord extended into the larval tail. Notochord extended into the larval tail. Okay, so notochord is extended into the larval tail. That adult don't have notochord. So no, that means in the larval tail it is present. Just remember like that. Okay. Next, that means adult is primitive. That's why only in the larva present. and larval having and larval tail, a notochord is extended into the larval tail. That's why it is called urochordata. Uro means tail, chorda, notochord. Cephalochordata. In case of lancelets, I'll show you the diagram. Lancelet. So they look like lancelet, that's why they call lancelet. Okay, so notochord extended into the head region, cephalo, head. That means chordata, notochord. Notochord extended into the head region, hence we call cephalochordata, and it was persistent throughout the life, we said over. Notochord extends into the head of adult, we are talking adult, and persistent. This is very important. We said cyclostomes and lancelets are having the notochord throughout the life. Notochord extends into the head of adult and persistent throughout the life. What about in urochordata? It is only present in the larval tail, but when it comes to the adult, it will disappear. So that means every character. We are taking notochord, pharyngeal gill slit, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and post-anal tail. After all learning that character, we should come here into the chart, and we need to take care of these particular whether the notochord in whom, how it is present. That we have to discuss. That's what we are talking. Cyclostomata. Cyclostomata, the notochord is persistent throughout the life. Cyclostomes, we say notochord is persistent throughout the life. Okay, so that you have to remember. Lamprey, Petromyzon is the example here. When we'll discuss in detail about the cyclostomata, persistent throughout the life. We just remember this character. Okay, next. So after that, actually, you see this. These are vertebrates. Vertebrata include Anatha and Gnathostomata. I'm not talking about astracodermy. Why? Because they are extincted animal. They get extincted already. Okay. So then we are talking about the cyclostomata, extant, live class, extant, cyclostomata. That notochord is persistent throughout the life. Interesting thing here, they are vertebrates actually. Means they also have some representation of vertebral column. That means both notochord is there and also vertebral column. But what happens in these animals like Gnathostomata, the fishes, amphibians, reptiles, ales, mammals, you don't find notochord in adult stages. Notochord is present only during embryonic development. Notochord is present only during embryonic development. But in case of mammals particularly, the notochord, remnant of the notochord is present between the intervertebral discs. We say that as nuclei pulposi. Core gel-like substance will find there what we say nuclei pulposi. Okay, so that's it. That is the story of notochord, particularly for that mammals we are talking about. Particularly mammals, intervertebral discs we use it to say that in the discs we'll find some, that means between the vertebral column, we can say between the vertebral column the discs are present. At the discs having some core gel-like substance in between them, that we say nuclei pulposi. Actually we have vertebral column. Our notochord is replaced by vertebral column. In those whose notochord is replaced by vertebral column, they are called as vertebrates. Okay, so that means all these organisms are having endoskeletal element as a vertebral column during the adult stage. Okay, including human being. So that's why we call vertebrates. Why don't you call urochordata and cephalochordata as vertebrates? No, they are not vertebrates. They are no chordates. That's all. They have notochord either in the tail or extended into the head region. They have notochord at least. That's why we say them as chordata. How you learned in your earlier classes, no matter that you learn like invertebrates and vertebrates, isn't it? The exact word is non-chordates, chordate. Those who have notochord, those who are not having notochord. Porifera to hemichordate are called non-chordates. And that urochordata to mammals are said to be chordates. Okay, so I request you to See the difference between the notochord and vertebral column. Both are endoskeletal elements, okay, but not a rule like that vertebral column should present for all. You see, no vertebral column for urochordata and cephalochordata. That's why we have a famous saying that all vertebrates are chordates. All vertebrates are chordate, but not all chordates are vertebrates, isn't it? Not all chordates, because chordata means urochordata and cephalochordata. Okay, so that means simply I'm talking all South Indians are Indians, but all Indians are not South Indians. In that way, I'm talking about. Okay, so think little logically, you will find, you'll understand. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go back. So that's showing the nuclei pulposi here, intervertebral. These are vertebral column, our vertebral column. So between the vertebrae and vertebrae, you see these discs. In the particular disc, in the center, we have this particular core gel-like substance, which is the representation of the notochord. That the embryonic notochord will disappear and remain as a small gel-like substance. In the adult mammals, we say nuclei pulposi. This is the total history of notochord. Let's take a look back again. Notochord. Okay, let's take a look back again about the notochord. Here it is. We said first of all the structure of the notochord. That notochord is that during embryonic development, the notochord is derived from embryonic chorda mesoderm. Notochord is derived from embryonic chorda mesoderm. Okay, next, it is made up of core of vacuolated cells surrounding by an inner thick fibrous and an outer thin elastic connective tissue sheath. So notochord, the vacuolated cells these are, and this is a fibrous sheath and then elastic sheath it was covered with. Okay. Next, the other features of the notochord, it is persistent throughout their life in the lanceolates, that means in cephalochordates and in case of cyclostomes. And the present in the tail of tadpole larva of an Ascidian Ascidian urochordates, which is lost in adult stage because of retrogressive metamorphosis. You see that larval form is having the notochord, larva is having notochord, and here above the notochord. You just focus here on that notochord. Okay, notochord is there in the larval tail, but it lost in case of adult. Okay. Next, what is retrogressive metamorphosis? A well-developed larva is becoming into a larva is having well the advanced character, and that becoming adult, during becoming adult, it lost its advanced character and become primitive one. We say that as retrogressive metamorphosis. So that you can see in case of Ascidians. Okay, so Ascidians is matter for us. Replaced partly or wholly by the vertebral column in the adults of higher chordates. That means notochord is going to be replaced partly like cyclostomata, wholly in all the remaining gnathostomata. Remnants of the notochord occur as nuclei pulposae gel-like substance in the intervertebral disc of mammal. This is the story of notochord. Then let's take a look on the pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and post-anal tail. Also, they are the basic chordate characteristic features we use it to say. So that's why take a look on the dorsal tubular nerve cord. The dorsal, that means location, the dorsal side. Tubular, that means hollow inside. Nerve cord. So before I go, I'll remember you when I explained earthworm. I said to you that we used a word called double ventral. The nerve cord of invertebrates we are talking, non-chordates. Double ventral solid ganglionated nerve cord. Double ventral solid ganglionated nerve cord. In case of invertebrates, non-chordates, that we have seen example in earthworm. Okay. Now what we have to say, double in case of non-chordates. In chordates, it is single. Okay. Single. Hollow tubular, that in case of non-chordates, solid. Fluid filled. Okay, hollow, tubular, and fluid-filled nerve cord is there in case of chordates. In non-chordates, it is solid. Okay, so the location that in non-chordates the nerve cord is ventral, ours is dorsal. Okay, dorsal. Next, in non-chordates in earthworm, we are seeing in every segment ganglia are present, non-ganglionated. Okay, so our nerve cord, it can be described as that single, hollow, tubular, and non-ganglionated. Location is at dorsal side. Okay, so that's it. Let's talk about it. A single hollow, tubular, and fluid-filled nerve cord is situated above the notochord and below the dorsal body wall. Here the location. Above the notochord. See the notochord. So above the notochord. Okay, so this is the yellow one is notochord. This is notochord. So that's why we said above the notochord. And we said below the dorsal body wall. This is dorsal body wall. So the blue one we are talking. Okay, so this blue one, we are talking about that blue one, which is said to be as dorsal tubular nerve cord. Okay, so let me erase all this that you can see clearly. The location we said now. Okay, next. It is non-ganglionated. Unlike that of the non-chordates, it is non-ganglionated. It is ectodermal in origin. Embryonic origin will be ectodermal nervous system, isn't it? Nervous system origin from ectoderm. It is produced in the embryonic stage by sinking in of the median dorsal strip of ectoderm above the notochord. During embryonic development, that embryonic ectoderm is going to be that these kind of changes we'll discuss when we go into the second year embryonic development chapter. But just showing here, there are three germ layers in embryo. Okay, so ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. What he is saying that during embryonic stage, by the sinking in of the median dorsal strip of the ectoderm. So this is the median dorsal strip of the ectoderm will sink above the notochord. That means from the mesoderm, notochord is going to be formed, isn't it? Then above the notochord, this particular neural plate-like structure will develop and that sink in and that form that nerve cord. Okay, so that details we'll discuss in case of the human embryonic development when we go there. Okay, so as we said, in the higher chordates, it is get enlarged to form a distinct brain at the anterior end and rest becomes spinal cord, like us. We have brain and spinal cord, isn't it? Okay, so dorsal tubular nerve cord location, we'll discuss in each and every class about the notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, that notochord we are seeing. Now the dorsal tubular nerve cord. So that urochordata, the dorsal tubular nerve cord is there in the larval form only. Here also again, the larva is having the dorsal tubular nerve cord. Cephalochordata, you'll find in the adult also. In case of cyclostomata, yes, no dorsal tubular nerve cord is present. Next, all that particular gnathostomes are having dorsal tubular nerve cord undoubtedly. But we said over when we go to the higher vertebrates, we can see the dorsal tubular nerve cord is much developed into anterior brain and posterior spinal cord. Likewise. Now let's see about the pharyngeal gill slits. I'm not talking about gills. Just take care about the gills. We're not talking gills. We're talking about the slits which are present during embryonic stages. Okay, these are the slits which are present on the pharynx. If you see the pharynx, the pharyngeal region, particularly in the pharyngeal region, we'll find small slit crevices. We say them as gill slits. Okay. So generally what happens here, from the mouth and buccal cavity, when water enters through these pharyngeal gill slits, water is going to be exit out. Lateral perforations, we say, in the wall of the pharynx through which water flows out from the pharyngeal cavity. Okay, so anywhere that when we are talking about the fish or somewhere buccal cavity, pharynx, on above the pharynx, these gill slits are present. Water enters to the mouth and comes out through this particular gill slit. Mean period of time, they do their collection of food and transport oxygen gaseous exchange, all that possible here. Okay, so it's just like our nostrils I am talking about. Pharyngeal gill slits are a series of lateral perforations in the wall of the pharynx through which water flows out from the pharyngeal cavity. So these are the pharyngeal gill slits and their presence. Okay, so let me take a look. Text diagram we have. These are pharyngeal gill slits. So these are the pharyngeal gill slits. So need to discuss about where they are present. So they are pharyngeal gill slits are the lateral slits of pharynx. They are ectoendodermal in origin. Ectoendodermal in origin. That means they are formed by the invagination of the ectoderm and evagination of the endoderm. During the formation, they are formed by the invagination of ectoderm and evagination of the endoderm. That we can see. So that's like this: ectoderm, invaginated, endoderm, evaginated, and the slits are formed. Okay, so that what do you say during embryonic development all happens. So where do they present? Persistent throughout the life in protochordates, fishes, and some amphibian. Who are protochordates? Urochordata and cephalochordata are considered as protochordates. Okay, so that means persistent throughout the life in protochordates, fishes, and amphibians. Then when it comes to the land animals, you don't find this particular notochord in adult stages. Including human being, we have notochord only during embryonic development. So what we say, protochordate. Urochordata and cephalochordata are called protochordate. In urochordata, cephalochordata, in the fishes, Placodermi, Chondrichthyes, Astrictis, in most of the amphibian, these pharyngeal gill slits are present. Let me take as a box here. So those who are having this particular, like we made it out. So that means reptilia, ants, mammals. These are mostly terrestrial animals, isn't it? So that's why you don't find that particular gill slits in the adult stages. Only during embryonic stages, that particular the pharyngeal gill slits are present. Okay. So that's it about. Let's go to the some more characteristic features of this area. That means we have completed notochord, pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord. Okay, so some more information about the pharyngeal gill slits. The wall of the pharyngeal gill slits develop vascular lamellae to become gills. That we'll discuss in detail in the fishes, but let me show you a little bit. As I said to you, the particular invagination of ectoderm and evagination of the endoderm. These gill slits are getting formed. Okay. So likewise, the gill slits can be seen over. So slit won't make a respiration, isn't it? The need to have the gill. So they are separate gills. Either sides of the gill slits, gills are present. Particularly the black one I am showing. So gills are present in the larval stages but are absent in the adults of many amphibians. The gills are for aquatic respiration that we have seen so many times in case of invertebrates also. The wall of the pharyngeal gill slits develop vascular lamellae to become gills and are helpful in the exchange of respiratory gases. Just keep that information. We'll discuss more in fishes. Gills are present in the larval stages but are absent in the adults of many amphibians. Then in amniotes, non-functional pharyngeal pouches are appear in the early embryonic life and disappear later. Okay. So now time to discuss who are called anomniotes and who are called amniotes. Anomniote and amniote. Based on the extra-embryonic membrane amnion, we say that amniotes, reptilia, ants, and mammals are said to be amniotes. Don't get confused. These things will be repeated again and again when we go to the individual general characters. So that fishes and amphibians are called as anomniotes, pisces and amphibian. Now you see the upper line you can understand. In amniotes, non-functional pharyngeal pouches are appear. That means in reptilia, ants, mammals, the pharyngeal slits are appear during early embryonic life in our also, in human also. and disappear later. Okay. That means for amniotes, reptiles, aves, and mammals. Thus provides a clue to their aquatic ancestry. That means in our embryonic development also we have pouches during embryonic development, means at least we have some gill pouches, gill slits at one stage of the life. That explains that our ancestors are aquatic animals. Likewise, that means a link between the organism. Indirectly, we can say we even evolved from the fishes. Means not directly, fish to indirectly, fish to amphibian, then to the reptiles, and reptiles to the mammals. So chordates have a tail extending posterior to the anus. Talking about the tail, the fourth character. We have seen notochord, we have seen pharyngeal gill slits and dorsal hollow tubular nerve cord, then pharyngeal gill slits, and finally we are talking about the tail. The four chordate general characters to be remembered. Chordates have tail extending posterior to the anus. You can see the tail. Except human beings all are having tail, isn't it? Our recent ancestors, monkeys also having tail. The post-anal tail. What is it? Lost in many species during late embryonic development. In case of Urochordate. Then the tail contains some skeletal elements like vertebral column and muscles are also present. No visceral organs. Coelom and visceral organs are absent in the tail. So and the tail is there in all mammals. See, even in the human also, we have a little tail. If you remember the coccygeal vertebrae. So what is the function of the tail? Tail generally balancing organ. It provides the propelling force in the locomotion of many aquatic. You may see that fishes when they are swimming, that tail is much helpful for that locomotion, isn't it? So then, in case of many aquatic species, acts as a balancing organ. In some terrestrial forms, like kangaroos, in kangaroos, it acts like a balancing organ, acts like a third leg. Even because kangaroo is only walk with two legs. You have seen the kangaroo, and in aquatic animals, it for locomotion. In kangaroo, like mammals, okay, let me show you the kangaroo. See that the tail acts like almost third leg for the balancing body. So that's it about the chordate characteristic features: notochord, pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and post-anal tail. Okay. Then chordates share the following characteristic the with excuse me. Chordates share the following characters with echinodons. There I have to remember that division deuterostomia, isn't it? Chordata, that is, echinodermata, hemichordata and chordata are belongs to the division deuterostomia. That's why deuterostome condition means fate of blastopore anus, radial indeterminate type of cleavage, enterocoelom and enterocoelom. Some more we have. What is that? Regulative embryo. Regulative embryo. So that characteristic feature, fate of blastopore anus. All these are the characteristic features they share with echinodons and hemichordates also, because all they are belongs to division deuterostomia, isn't it? So the basic characteristic features you have to remember first: notochord, pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and post-anal tail. Then other chordate characteristic features. It has bilateral symmetry because there belongs to grade bilateria. Triploblastic condition, 3 germ layers because there belongs to grade bilateria triploblastica. Organ system level of organization and the metamerism, segmentation here also present, not like that earthworm, but at least in some areas, muscles in some areas like muscles of some organisms, like our vertebral column, some segmentation is present. Metamerism we use it to say. Cephalization, well developed head region is a characteristic feature. Next, enterocolic coelom, except we have some exceptions, like higher chordates are secondarily schizocelic, and a complete digestive tract from mouth to anus. And closed blood vascular system in general. If you have exceptions, we'll discuss in general characters. Myogenic heart, ventral myogenic heart, except in the landslide, they don't have heart. That in the remaining all them, myogenic heart is present. Invertebrate heart is called neurogenic heart. That means nervous system controls their heart. But ours is myogenic, pacemaker, modified muscle that controlling the heart. You just remember it. We'll discuss when time comes. That muscle phosphagen, during muscle contraction, a phosphate providing substance we call muscle phosphagen, that in case of invertebrate, that is phosphoarginine, now in chordates, that is phosphocreatine. That invertebrates, that is phosphoarginine. So that means in non-chordates, ours is phosphocreatine. What is muscle phosphagen means? Those who provide phosphate during muscle contraction. Let's compare chordates with non-chordates. Chordate and non-chordate. Non-chordate means porifera to hemichordata. Keep that in mind. Chordate, as of today, I introduced it to you. Notochord is present in chordates. What do you say in non-chordates? Notochord is absent. And the central nervous system is dorsal, hollow, single, and non-ganglionated. In case of chordates, central nervous system is dorsal, hollow, single, and non-ganglionated. What do you say in case of non-chordate? By keeping earthworm in mind, you can say it was ventral, it was solid, and double ganglionated nerve cord in case of non-chordates. Some more characteristic features will go. The pharynx is perforated by gill slits. Pharyngeal gill slits are present in chordates. No pharyngeal gill slits in non-chordate. Though they are having gills, but gill slits are absent. The heart is ventral in chordates. Heart is dorsal if present. If present, that means in molluscan some of them are having. Cockroach is having heart. That if present, that is a dorsal side only. Our heart is ventral, chordate heart. A post-anal tail is present. No non-chordate is having post-anal tail. Post-anal tail is absent in non-chordate. So that's it about the chordate characteristic features. We have some questions. Notochord is derived from. The options are coming. I expect you people will answer.
Chorda mesodum.
Notochord is derived from.
Chorda mesodum.
Yes. Okay, message. Chorda mesodum. Very good. Likita. Chorda mesodum. Dorsal tubular nerve cord is. Dorsal tubular nerve cord is. Very good. Non-ganglionated. Dorsal tubular nerve cord means we are talking about chordates. That means that is non-ganglionated. So this acts as balancing organs in kangaroo. I hope everyone will answer this. You just unmute yourself and you answer. No need to chat.
Post-anal tail.
Post-anal tail.
Post-anal tail.
Yes, post-anal tail. Very good. Yes, that's it about the chordate characteristic features. That notochord, pharyngeal gill slits, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and post-anal tail. Post-anal tail, and the chart, a basic line of the chordate chart we